Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Avini Vibes. We're very grateful that you're here this evening. We're going to be respectful of your time. We'll try to have you on 45 minutes, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter. You just never know, but we're very thankful that you joined us tonight. Tonight is Thursday, April 9th, 2026, and time flies. Hey, make sure tomorrow night you turn on the TV to watch those astronauts splash down. Keep them in your thoughts and your prayers because they're coming home. Pretty amazing, isn't it? When we talk about Avini, we're so blessed to have these incredible technologies, leadership in this company that is second to none. And for sure, I think you'll agree if you want to give me a thumbs up. Are we changing lives? We're changing lives. Yeah, I know. It's pretty amazing. I think tonight we're going to be blessed and we're going to hear some pretty interesting stories and we're going to see some things. We have a very special guest, who I'm going to introduce in a moment. But remember, we're not a supplemental company. We just take the bad things out and we make room for the good. And please remember, we don't make any medical claims, we don't diagnose, and we don't treat. We're here for education purposes, to learn and to share, and of course, to grow. Thank you for muting yourself. If you want to ask a question, if you're a guest, you can raise your hand when we get towards the end of the program. We'll go ahead and offer the opportunity to answer some questions if you should have them. You know, the beauty of this business, it's not only the best products and technologies. Kelly, you can go ahead and unmute because I'm going to call on you in a minute, but it's also the best people. And as Chip Littlejohn always says, it's the smartest people. So thank you for being so smart and joining us this evening. Again, if you're a guest, just get with the person and thank them for inviting you. And really pay attention, get your pen and your paper and really listen in because our guest tonight is Kelly Callahan. She's from Northwest. I do so well when I think about how to spell it, but when I have to say the name of what you do professionally, you are a professional thermographer. Is that correct, Kelly?
That is correct. You did it perfectly.
So you're coming all the way in from northern Idaho, and before we went live, you shared that you're way up there near the Canadian border. Now I've been to Idaho, and it is beautiful, and we are very thankful that you would bring such a knowledge and experience to Avini Vibes tonight. So why don't you just come on and share a little bit about your personal health journey and what you've learned professionally on this Avini journey, helping your clients. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. I love to talk about thermography. And thermography and Avini go hand in hand. It's been a remarkable journey so far. So let me just get started. So my name is Kelly Callahan. I am in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I started my thermography business about 6 years ago. And I got started because my mom had had a very serious stroke. And as I was researching what could we have done to catch this early, I came across thermography. Well, I was her full-time caregiver, so I kind of put it aside until she passed away. And then I came back to thermography and really fell in love with the technology and all of the things that you can do with it. I specialize in breast thermography. So breast health education, those types of things, but I also do full body. So I image from head to toe, literally. So there's so many things you can do with thermography and so many things you can see. Um, Let me talk about my Vini journey, how I kind of got here. So I spent a few years of my life not living the healthiest way. And so when I started serving myself better and my health better, I was looking for ways to detox. I was looking for ways to get healthier, to get rid of the brain fog, to get my confidence back, so many things. And through that research, I had found Z-Light. And it was from a doctor that I trusted. And so I ordered the product. I used it for several months with expectations of having this great things happen, and nothing happened. Nothing was changing, but I was really kind of hooked on zeolite. I wanted it to work. I had a basic understanding of how it should work. And fast forward several years, I'm in my thermography business, and I get a phone call, and it was Shu. And the phone rings, I'm in a meeting, and I answer the phone, and the first thing I think is, oh my goodness, how do I get off the phone and be polite? And he starts talking about, I have something for you, blah, 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 blah. I have something that might help your business, blah, 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 blah. I'm tuned out completely because I'm in a meeting. And finally, I just said, meet me at my office Tuesday, 10 o'clock. And I get off the phone and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what did you just do? This guy's probably got a really expensive piece of equipment that he wants to sell you or something like that. Tuesday rolls around, knock, knock, knock on my door. I peek out in the lobby and I'm like, oh shoot, I completely forgot about this. So here comes Shu back to my office. And he walks in and he sits down and he starts immediately talking about network marketing and these products. And I am, nope, done that, never had results, spent a lot of money. I am done. But the next thing he said was zeolite. And you guys, I literally had up on my computer, I was getting ready to order that other product again because I was willing to try again to see if I could get it to work because I just really wanted it to work. So then I was kind of hooked. I was listening to what he said at that point. So he left me with information. I had a stack of papers and his website and I dove into the research. And I started learning about Cell Defender. I started learning about Rick, all of every product that was on there actually. And I'd spent about 2 days learning. And then I just went in and I bought the biggest package I could buy because I figured if this is going to work, like I think it should work, and Rick was really, really reputable, then it is not only going to help me and my family, but it's going to help my clients. And the things I was seeing, I really wanted to help my clients as well. So Shu called me the next day and he says, so what do you think? And I said, I already ordered. And he said, well, okay, well, great, let's meet. Let's meet for coffee. So we go and we meet for coffee. We meet at our community center and we're sitting there talking. And Shu gave me a bottle of Cell Defender because mine hadn't arrived yet. And we hear this child scream in the background, and Shu jumps up and he's like, I'll be right back. And he takes off. I'm sitting there for 30 minutes, and in my mind, I'm thinking, this is the rudest guy I've ever met in my life. He literally has just left me sitting here. So I get up to leave and I'm heading out the door, and here's Shu standing outside with this mom and this little girl that's running circles around. And he's on a phone, a three-way call with Robin. And he waves me over. So I come over and I'm listening to this three-way call with Robin. I'm listening to Robin talk about her nephews who have autism. And this mom is almost in tears. And then Shu turns to me and he says, hey, hey, give me back that bottle I gave you. And he takes that bottle and he gives it to this mom. Now, guys, that was my very first training. I learned the heart of Avini. I learned the people of Avini. I learned the belief in Avini. I mean, it was rather amazing to me. So anyway, then Shu and I continued on with our conversation. Well, here we are today.
So,
So
Kelly, for our listeners, Shu, raise your hand there if you would. This is Shu. And how far apart do you both live? You live in the same state, yes?
no, Shu is in Washington. We're about
Oh,
40 minutes apart.
40 minutes. There he goes. So
Yeah.
anyway, Shu, thank you for being persistent with Kelly. And when
Yeah.
you reference Rick, that's our biochemist for any guests that are listening. So keep going.
Yes. Okay. So I learned a couple of things by watching Shu. Number one, we do three-way calls. And that is literally how I built my business. I didn't know any different. I didn't know about the products, but I had people sitting here in my office in my chair, and women tend to open up to me in this room and they tell me things about their life, about their husband's illness, their daughters, their husband, everybody's illnesses. I hear about everything. And in my mind, in the back of my head, because I just researched all this information, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if that cell defender would help. And so I just, you know what? I think I've got something that might help you. Hang on just a second. And I grabbed my phone and I would call Shu, I would call Robin, and I would just put it on speakerphone and let them do the work. Hey, Robin, Robin didn't even know me. Hey, Robin, this is Kelly. She just signed me up. I've got this person sitting here, and she would just take it and run from there. It was beautiful. And but the really, really cool thing is I started to see changes. Now, here's my screen back here with my camera. And I can take your picture and I can see inflammation because thermography, we're looking for heat. So thermo is heat, graphy is map. So we kind of get a heat map of the body. And so immediately I can see these inflammation markers. I can see vascular patterns. I can see lots of different things, hot spots, that kind of stuff. And when I would have somebody get started on that cell defender, maybe they came back, their breast reports came back as a higher risk. And then they would start on the cell defender, and I always had them do a higher dose. So I'd tell them, I'd like you to take it at least 7 times a day and spread it out. Don't just take it all at one time and think you're done. It was more about the frequency. And then they would come back in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and the changes have been dramatic. It's not just a little bit, it's been dramatic, and it's so fun to watch. Just the other day, and I wish I had permission to share her images because it was 2.5 months since she was in, and she had a higher risk on one of her breasts. And she came back in 2.5 months later. We did her imaging just yesterday. And I kid you not, I'm absolutely floored with the changes in her breast. I can't even believe it, and I can't wait. I'm not a doctor, I'm a technician. I can't wait to get the report back from the doctor because I know that her other breast has come down to normal. I just know it just by looking at it. And I see that over and over and over again when I get somebody using the cell defender. Now add the plus balance on top of it, and I'm seeing just changes like you can't believe. And how they feel, how they look, but I can see it. I can visibly see it. It's incredible.
So you said hot spots. So that's when you look at the image, you see red spots, which is referred to as a hot spots. Can you explain
Yeah.
that?
Yes, exactly. So when we're looking at the image, blue is a cool color. We like to see things in blues and purples and even in greens. But when we get into the yellow, orange, red, and white would be our hottest color. So we're seeing hot spots in those colors. So we can, again, we can visibly see those changes. It's just remarkable.
How often does a client come? Do they come, like you said, she came back in overtime 2.5 months. How often do you see a patient?
Yeah, it depends. So again, I'm not a doctor, I'm a technician. So Dr. Kane is my interpreting doctor. And when he sends back the report, depending on the risk rating, so it goes from a 1 to a 5. Anything in 1 to 2 is a low risk, a 3 is a medium risk, and a 4 to 5 is a high risk. So it's either come back in 3 months if you're high risk, come back in 6 months if you're a medium risk, and if you're in a low risk, we'd like you to come back in a year's time. And we do that because we want to see, are we seeing stability? Is everything stable? We all have a unique, when we're talking about breast health, we have a unique breast print, just like our fingerprint. And so we want to see is, are we seeing stable patterns? Are we seeing improvements? Are we seeing new blood vessels popping up? Are we seeing um, increase in heat in certain areas? So there's different things we're looking for. So first, imaging gives us kind of a baseline. The next imaging is pretty important because it tells us those things. Are we stable? Are we seeing improvements? Or are we seeing increase in heat?
Would you be concerned with new blood vessels? Can you explain that
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yes, that is concerning. So if cancer is developing, what happens is it wants to be fed. If there's a tumor there, it wants to be fed. So it begins to pull in those blood vessels, angiogenesis, and it creates new blood vessels. So it's getting more blood flow to be fed. So yes, those new blood vessel patterns are concerning. But with thermography, we see the very first changes happening in the breast years before a mammogram or an ultrasound is going to see a tumor. So on average, 6 to 8 years before tumors large enough for a mammogram and ultrasound to even see it. We are looking at those physiological changes. Mammograms and ultrasounds are looking for cancer that's already developed. So once you find it with a mammogram or an ultrasound, it's been there. It's been there growing for a long time.
Why isn't this prescribed more frequently, would you think? Like it's preventative, baseline.
Right. That you said the word, it's preventative. That's unfortunately that's the word. Now mammogram is a standard of care, and that unfortunately are that is what they go to first. I do have some more progressive doctors in my area, just simply because I do education things for them. that they are willing to send their patients to me first.
Would that be education for various type of divers, but particularly OBGYNs?
Just no, I haven't. I do have an OBGYN, but I have never met him, but he does send his patients to me. But no, usually I'm working with doctors that are more in the holistic field. So I have a DO that I work with. So he's a medical doctor, but he's a DO. Nurse practitioners that I work with, and then holistic doctors. So naturopaths, chiropractors, those types of doctors.
What's the youngest client that you've done some work with? Like, when would you
9 years old.
recommend someone to
Yeah.
come? At what
Well,
age?
I have a 9-year-old that we actually did imaging on. This little one had, and so it wasn't breast imaging, but she had lung issues, severe, and was in and out of the hospital every single year, needing breathing treatments and different things, steroids and that kind of stuff. Got her started on the cell defender. And so we were just kind of monitoring her, taking images. So what we see is somebody who maybe has asthma that we're looking at, we're going to image their back. And we're looking at the lungs in the back and that area of the lungs. And we usually see it cooler rather than hotter because the lungs just aren't getting all the oxygen they need. So they're actually cooler. And so we started imaging her when she started the cell defender. Now, this has been 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, 2 years ago, just 2 years ago. And she hasn't been in the hospital since then, since starting the cell defender.
It's
And so
beautiful.
cell defender, nano silver, and the fiber are what they use with her.
I was going to ask, have they been using the silver? And you already answered that.
Yep. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
What
Those are the
about
three things that they use.
what about with a mold toxicity? Would that have a tendency to show up anywhere in thermography that you could reference that or not?
It really, I think it depends because that's going to show up as kind of whole body inflammation.
Mm.
And so, but I'm not diagnostic, and so I can't tell you that's what's going on. Everything is pieces to a puzzle. We
Yeah.
have a health history form that they would fill out, and if that was a piece to the puzzle, then we might be able to say, okay, they know that they had some mold exposure, and we might be able to say, well, we're seeing this whole body inflammation that you're having. That definitely could be that, and you need to move forward with something that would help that. But I'm not diagnostic.
Right, right. What about with the feet? So do you do the feet as well? Because I've been myself actually after my husband's accident, we went to a chiropractor and she did some imaging, and it was
Uh-huh.
very interesting to see the different the thermography on his feet after having plates and screws and all, where the blood flow was and where the inflammation was. Do you do some feet ever?
Oh, yes. So I don't do just breast, I do full body. And I had a full body this morning, as a matter of fact. And this in fact, okay, so I go from the top of your head to the last image I take is the bottom of your feet. So we are taking about 50 images of different positions, different sides. I'm always looking for symmetry. It doesn't matter if I'm imaging your face, your hands, your feet, your breasts. I want to see symmetry because we never see disease or inflammation in the same exact spot on both sides that causes a problem necessarily. So if am doing your face, for instance, and your right side is very, very warm and your left side is cool. I know this right side, we've got either some kind of infection or something like that going on, or on the other side, maybe we have got some neuropathy or nerve damage because it's so cool. So yes, head to toe, I do it all, and we're always looking for that symmetry. We want to see both sides looking the same.
This is absolutely amazing. How about, does anybody want to ask a question or have a comment that you'd like to raise your hand and offer Kelly the opportunity to answer a question? You have to unmute yourself or just put your hand up if you would, and we can get to that. Lisa D.
Hey, Kelly. Thanks so
Hey.
much for this very informative again. And I absolutely love thermography as I've had my own versus mammograms. But my question to you being whole body, What about the colon? And we're seeing so much GI issues and stuff like that. Can thermography really read into what's going on with GI or colon health?
Yeah, no. Yes and no. So I can't see deep into the body, but we know anatomically about where the colon is, and same with the liver and kidneys. If we're seeing heat in those areas, and there's certain patterns with the colon that my interpreting doctor would point out. Maybe we are seeing some coolness in an area. It could indicate his report will come back and say, hey, we're seeing in this anatomical area, in the area of the colon, we are seeing a cooling, an unusual cooling pattern that could indicate some dysfunction there. You need to go for further testing. And it's the same with the liver. You know, in the anatomical area of the liver, we are seeing inflammation. You need to go for further testing. And both of those things I've had come up on full bodies. And so that's why I am familiar with it. And, you know, to get something like that to come up towards the surface of the skin, because I'm really just looking at the surface of the skin. For instance, your liver, it's got to be down there waving the white flag. Hey, I am really sick. That's when we're going to see that come up towards the surface of the skin.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
Tim, I think Lisa, will you have any more questions? You're good. I think Tim, you unmuted, you had a question, and then we'll go to Hannah after Tim.
Yes, I had a question. How do I get the scan? Can I do that around here? Do I have to go see Kelly?
You have to
Where
go
are you
back
at?
home.
Say again?
Where are you at, Tim?
I'm in Monroe, New York, but I'll travel because I know that my dad had a scan and it saved his life at the time. About 20 years ago, he had a scan, so I would like to get one.
Well, you know what? I'd love it if you reached out to me. I have a pretty good network of thermographers across the country, and I can reach out through my network. And in fact, this afternoon or this morning, I did a three-way call with a woman who is in Illinois, and I was able to reach out to my network and find her a good, reputable thermographer for her to go to. So if Christine, if you want to share my information with Tim, reach out to me,
Absolutely.
Tim, where you are exactly, and I will see if I can find somebody close to you.
Excellent. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hannah, you had a comment or a question?
Hi, everyone. It's Karen. I do, on any of your patients that are on the higher spectrum of being sick, did you go back? 'Cause you do, so you do the scan every so often, correct? When they come back? Is that how it's done?
Yeah,
The
so it
ones that are more,
depends on what we're scanning. So for breast imaging, we always have if you're at low risk, the recommendation is come back in a year. Medium risk is to come back in 6 months. High risk is to come back in 3 months. So those are the recommendations from the doctor, how often to come back, depending upon what your risk rating is.
so with that, do you have any of the scans that you could, that you have personally seen from when they first came to you before they went on the cell defender? And
Yes.
then if they say they're critical, then they came back in 3 months, so you can see the difference in color change. And then
Yes.
you can go forward, because that's a huge plus for cell defender, to show
Oh,
that like this is the only thing that they're taking, and this is how the color changed
yeah,
in this time
absolutely.
frame.
And I love to share images with my clients who have offered to let me share their images. So I have
So
to,
legal, okay, that's the next
yeah.
question. I just want to make sure that you're
Yep.
covering your end and Avini's end and all that stuff,
Oh
that you're
yeah, I
not
have to be
sharing
very
anything
compliant.
without.
Yep.
Okay,
She's a HIPAA compliant professional, so
Yeah.
okay, but
absolutely.
I just want to double that. I am. I don't
Yeah.
want anybody to get hurt. I want
Oh
everybody
no,
to do
Thank
no,
you.
well,
I
and
I I have
a
to have
win-win.
permission.
So
Absolutely.
you do have those that
Yes.
you go back and look at, because that would
Yeah.
be really cool for all of us to see, but also as part of a testimony, like, look at, this is the only thing they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that's proof, that's amazing. That's like, I mean,
It,
this is a wonderful, thank you so much
absolutely.
for
Well,
Yeah.
them.
Alan Way, you have your hand up.
Here.
You have to unmute.
All right. Am I unmuted now? I think so.
Yes.
All right. My question is, do insurance companies cover this? And if not, generally what the expense is for something like that?
No, unfortunately, there are no insurance codes for thermography. But a breast imaging, for instance, starts at $300. A full body, I charge $650 for the full body.
All right.
And I never turn anybody away. I'm going to tell you right now, I have given away many, many scans. I don't think anybody should be unable to get thermography. And so I never turn anybody away. It's just too important. It's a very important scan.
Well, I guess you'll just keep at it for those billing codes. Eventually, they'll come around if we keep squeaking like therapeutic horseback riding. We didn't have billing codes back then, and we have them now. So, Kelly, you just keep at it with your network of thermographers, and
Yes.
sure enough, they'll come around eventually, I'm sure. Anybody else may have a question or a comment?
Me.
No. Oh, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah. So Kelly, I'd like to know if you know a thermographer in like the Tampa Bay area.
There's a lot. Okay, so Tampa Bay, is that lower or upper?
It's upper. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tampa area. Yeah,
Okay.
Tampa.
Yeah, so actually she was one of my original clients and she moved to Florida and I don't know what city she's in, but again, Carol, please get my information from Christine
I will.
and I will find you a reputable thermographer closest as possible to you. Yeah. And here's the thing about thermography. It has, and this is one of the reasons, Christine, you'd asked, why aren't we using this regularly? When thermography first started and came out and it was really popular in the 80s, there were no regulations. And so people were doing thermography without following protocols, and there was a lot of problems with it. And the doctors just said, we're not going to do this anymore. Now, and when I talk about a reputable thermographer, there's the things that I want to know. Are you following these protocols? Because if you come into my office, number one, it's cold in here and it needs to be cold and it needs to stay cold. And I check your temperature. I'm checking the temperature of my laboratory the entire time we're imaging because I have to keep it within a certain temperature as we are doing all of the imaging. I take my camera and I image all the walls in my office because if I have, for instance, a water heater on the other side of the wall and you're sitting there, that side of your body is going to warm up. I mean, we are to the tenth of a degree when we're doing thermography. It makes a difference. It makes a big difference. So I'm always, that's one of the things I always look for when I send somebody to a different thermographer. Tell me your protocols because that's really, really important. But that's why I believe that is why thermography kind of went down instead of went up as more of a mainstream. And now there are procedures to follow now, but it's not policed.
How cold is it in that office of yours?
It's about 68 degrees right now. Yeah.
Pat Tracy, you have to unmute. You have your hand up.
Yep. Kelly, do you mentioned working with a physician and the reports go to a physician. You have to have a physician that refers you to that, or is anybody can walk in and then you just use your own physician to refer?
Right. So, no, you do not need a referral to see a thermographer. Anybody can walk in. And that's the other thing. I use he's a board certified thermologist. And so he reads those scans. He has got the software to read that. He has got the expertise to read those scans. So, or all of my images. So when that report comes back, I know that I'm getting a good report. If people are doing thermography and they are not certified to read those images, you may not get a good report. So that's the other thing that I'm looking for. Who reads your images?
So is there a charge then, not only your charge, but then the charge for the person reading, because they don't read this for free.
For me, it's all included.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Everything's
Gotcha.
included. All of the images, the report, and then I also do a 15 to 20-minute report call after the report comes back. Because most people don't understand what thermography is. And I don't want anybody walking away saying, I just spent $300 and I don't know what any of this means. So I'm very thorough.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for that response.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, Carol. You're limited to two. No, just kidding.
So Kelly, I am not somebody that has mammograms, and I was just told I needed to have one. I turned 71 72 very shortly. So, do you recommend, since I won't do mammogram, that I do go to a thermography?
Okay, here's where I have to be real careful about what I say. Mammogram is standard of care.
I understand.
It is standard of care. Personally, I do not do mammograms.
Mhm.
I do my thermography, but the reality is there is no breast test that's 100% accurate. None of them are. Mammograms are not, ultrasounds are not, and thermography is not. So personally, what I do for myself is I do my thermography every year, and I do an ultrasound every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Now, most ultrasound companies will not give you an ultrasound unless you've had a mammogram first, because that's standard of care. But here in my area, I have 2 private pay ultrasound companies that I work with. You don't need a doctor's referral, and they do not take insurance. It's all out of pocket. But to me, that's worth it to do that every 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you'd have a baseline on the ultrasound as well.
Exactly. Yep. So you got a structural. So ultrasound is going to look at the structure more, whereas thermography is looking at the physiology.
All right. This is so informational. All right. What other questions do we have? Anybody else? Well, this is a quiet group tonight.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, let's do this then. Kelly.
Wait,
Oh, Kathy.
Hannah.
Yeah,
Kathy.
Hannah's.
Kathy,
Go
we'll
ahead.
I'm sorry, I came in late. I'm still at work. Where are you located? Where you have your thermography?
I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, so northern Idaho.
Oh, okay. I'm in Northern California. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Gary, you had a question?
No, I was just trying to point out that
Yeah.
Hannah
Hannah's guest.
has a
Karen.
question, but also I think Kathy needs to know that Kelly is able to provide referrals. So even though you're in California, Kelly is your person.
And you'll be able to listen to the recording too. So yes, you can connect Kathy with Kelly and she can help refer for you, as Gary just mentioned. Okay.
Yeah, I can see if I can find somebody that's close to where you are, Kathy. I'd be happy to help you with that.
All right, Hannah, you have a comment or a
I
question?
have a question, Kelly.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned the ultrasound sound frequency, I went right to sound frequency. Is the method that you have, is that a sound frequency based? Is that how they get the heat? How does that, you give me some understanding of that? Because
Yeah, absolutely. It's a digital infrared camera.
It's infrared. So it's like
Yep,
like
it's
with the Navy
it's
SEALs and
FDA
stuff we use
approved
at
as an
night.
adjunct. Yep, it's a digital infrared
Okay.
camera. Mhm.
Okay, I
It
get it.
is an actual medical device that I have.
Okay.
Okay. All right, great questions, great information. Thank you, Kelly. So appreciative that you joined us tonight. You know, it's all about, like you said, prevention. We want to see people on these calls before they have a problem, before they have an issue. And if they do, we're a great resource, right? At Avini, it's a great resource. We have expertise in so many different fields. It's as we say, Chip, he's not with us tonight. Where is that Chipper? He's not with us, but it's all about, you know, the smartest and the brightest come to Avini. So we're just grateful. See, Sandra's giving us little hearts too. Lots of hearts. Kelly, this has been really, you know, life-saving, right? We're in the life-changing business and we're grateful that
I'm muted.
Alan has a question. Alan, or is that a clap? Shu, thank you for your persistence and going out and just not taking no for an answer. That's very important for all of us. Don't take no for an answer, or just keep educating, keep educating. Kelly, would you like to leave us with some parting words before I close us out and do a few announcements?
Some parting words. Let me leave you with a bit of wisdom. So what I have found, not only in Avini, but in my thermography business, is it is so much better to listen than to be the speaker. So when you have somebody talking to them about Avini, first listen to what they've got going on, make sure they know that you are interested in them, and then speak. and only speak just enough. Only speak just enough.
Great, great words of wisdom. Thank you, Kelly. God bless you. And thank you for joining us tonight. We're very grateful that you joined us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And this is recorded, so we do have recordings on your avinihealthtraining.com. They're up. They usually come up in a couple days. They're up on that Avini Health Training if you want to listen to the recording, okay? Carol, thank you. And everyone, thank you for your guests. Please get with the person that invited you. Learn more. I also want to remind you that May 15th and 16th is coming up, the Boca event. If you're not registered for it, do it. Do get registered because tours are getting filled. And you don't want to miss the new facility and go see what's all the growth factors that are happening there in Boca Raton, Florida with that conference. And the other thing I want to tell you, in Salt Lake City on June 20th, there's going to be another event coming up. So get registered for that. And our guest next week is going to be our very own Doug Dickey. Doug's going to come back and join us next week, and he'll be our guest. So we'll look forward to seeing all of you next week. Keep going out there and sharing. God bless each and every one of you, and just keep at it, okay? Have a great night. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Good night. Good night,
Right,
everyone.
says smart
Have a
attract
question.
smart.
Good night.
Good
Peace.
night.